house, all the walls is going to be 110 foot width. Because it's all the walls. If you don't want to do the math, you get to do each of the 4 walls separately. If you want to save yourself some entry time and do the walls as one thing, you got to do a little math. Well, in this case, I'm going to say it's 110 feet, and they're 8 foot high. And then it wants me to tell it how many the doors and window square footage that I'm going to back out, because you don't insulate the doors and windows. So if I had 6 2 foot by 3 foot windows, each window is 6 square feet, 6 of them is 36 square feet. If I had 2 standard doors, 8 foot door, 3 foot wide, 24, so 48 plus 36, 114, something like that. So I say how much square footage door and windows. Again, this would all be part of the audit form. You know, that's going to be part of the audit list form that the auditor actually does. So the install measure is I'm going to do my dense pack installation, and I'm going to end up having to do 766 square feet of it. And I'm going to say again, it's costing me $1 a square foot to do my dense pack installation. So I can save that. And again, by the way, I didn't mention it, but you can always print this stuff off at any point if you want to print these things. For some reason, you get a hard copy of it. So I go back to my priority list and go down to the next thing, the smart thermostat. Again, that's a single item off of the thing here. It remembers that my heater was a forced hot air oil heater. So all I have to do at this point is just tell it that I'm going to, the measure I'm going to install. In this case, the only measure I can install is the smart thermostat. Say it costs $29 each. I've got 2 heating zones, so I'm going to need 2 of them. And go back to the priority list and then go to the next one. So you just walk down through this thing. I'm not sure we want to go through all of this. The only other measure we have to make sure we add is we got to give ourselves a place to put the labor costs. The way we're going to be running the system is normally a measure and its labor both gets charged to a single budget, a program operations budget item. We're actually going to have a separate budget for labor. Because we're having a separate budget for labor, we have to separately call out the labor cost, the labor that we're going to do in this job. Now again, I didn't say this, but I'll say it right now. As we define these measures, any of the numbers we put in here are just guesses. If you don't even want to guess, you could leave the number 0. But the real number is going to get filled in when the installation actually occurs, when we actually install something. That's when we're going to get the actual value for any of these numbers we're putting in here in terms of things. So if I go here to other measures and say I'm going to do my program operations crew labor, I can just put in, what I guesstimate the cost to be, $35 an hour, which is obviously not correct for a crew, but. And then I'm going to say, I'm guessing that it's going to take the crew 10 hours to do this. And, I'm using a 3-man crew to do this or something like that. I don't know. Some kind of comment to save it. So I always want to have a priority number 11. If I just go back to my priority list, I'm always going to want to have, you can see it down here. I'm always going to want to have a priority number 11 work order, or excuse me, measure that is the crew labor. We do have it set up so you can charge program operations labor separate from health and safety labor. But again, the number you're putting in here when you enter in the measure during the audit it can just be it's just a best guess. It's not But once we do this, we can see now that we've got a job defined with, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 measures on it. The estimated cost right now of the job is $2,837. And, I've got, maybe I've done everything I want to do for this house. So at that point, I just save it again just to be sure I've saved everything. Because I tend to, it never hurts to save. It always hurts to forget to save. But it usually doesn't hurt to save things over and over again. So at this point, we've got, a job kind of defined and ready to actually start working on. We have not put in any funding sources yet. We don't need to put in the funding sources yet. Obviously, we have no installation dates, so nothing is installed. And at this point, if I wanted to, I could just print a report out if I wanted to put it in the client's hard copy folder or something. And it would, again, just print out a copy of what we were expecting to install. So this is what we were expecting to install. Not what did get installed, but just what we're expecting to install. And I wouldn't use this for, you would not use this for actually giving to anybody to do any work. We're going to go through the work order thing. So at this point, what I'd like to do is stop a little bit, make sure we go through, everybody's got a chance to go through doing the priority audit. Because after we do that, we're going to start moving into the workload. So we're moving pretty fast. It's either I'm doing a very good job of explaining things, more likely you're actually very bright and don't need a lot of explanation, or I've intimidated everyone, there's too many people in here, we're not getting enough questions. Because we're a little bit ahead of schedule right now, but that's fine, as long as everybody is comfortable with where we're at and understands this.
So again, that's not the invoice from the contractors when they do the work. That's after our renovators go do the assessment. That's what they think that we're supposed to have installed.
Correct. This is what we think we're going to do.
Okay.
This is the list of items that we're recommending. So this is the list of recommended measures to take to be cost effective in weatherizing this particular residence. So it's hopefully well grounded in reality, but the expectation is that this will in fact change. This date will change once we actually get on site and actually start to do the weatherization. Okay. So do we have any questions? Have all this time built in for questions? Yes, sir.
My screen's a little different. I don't have a work order on mine.
If you do not have a work order button on yours, chances are, if you don't have a work order button apparent, if you go back to the client job list, go back to audit info there, and look and make sure that this job status says the job has been audited. If the job hasn't been audited yet, you won't be able to create a work order for it. Again, this is the one gotcha. This is a big gotcha in this particular screen, is that this is the one status change you have to make from scheduled to audited. And until you save the job with the status, did that too fast. So you're sitting there at scheduled, which means nobody's gone on site yet. So obviously, if nobody's gone on site yet, you don't want to be issuing work orders for it. So as long as your status is scheduled, you won't see the work order screen. As soon as you switch it to audited and save it, you should see the work order screen. Now, there is an exception. And I'll show you the one exception, because I did actually forget to include this. So I have a list of items right here, and you'll notice that I can issue now a work order. Everybody should have that button on. That worked, right, sir?
Yes.
Your work order button appears. So let's say I go back, and you know what? I go on site, and I